Hello, I'm Tanya Braunlowy. I am an air quality specialist for the City of Wichita in the Environmental Health Department, and I'm here to talk to you today about the upcoming ozone season and things we can do to make sure that we can keep our ozone emissions down for the health and safety of everybody in Wichita. Ozone, a lot of folks think of ozone as that ozone layer in the troposphere way up high in the atmosphere that protects our planet from UV rays. However, when we want to talk about ozone air pollution, we're talking about ozone that's down low, ozone that's created by people and the things that we do. So ozone up high is good, ozone down low is bad. Ozone is created when heat and sunlight bake the ingredients, and the ingredients are volatile organic compounds and nitrogen oxides. We get those ingredients from using internal combustion engines, burning fossil fuels, or painting and coating, using solvents. Those sorts of things create VOCs and NOx. And those things bake in the heat and sun and create ozone. So those are the things that we want to avoid in order to reduce our ozone emissions. The reason we're concerned about ozone here in Wichita is because of the health of everyone in our community. There are certain groups of folks that are more sensitive to ozone pollution than others. Ozone is really hard on lung tissue, and when we breathe that in, it starts to break down our lung tissue, and we want to make sure that we're keeping our lungs healthy for everybody. 8.4% of our population has asthma, and they're very sensitive to ozone air pollution. Children and the elderly are also sensitive, and so we want to do everything we can to protect those groups. And then if you're a healthy adult but you like to spend a lot of time outside and you run or bike, if you're breathing in a lot of air that has ozone in it, you may be doing some damage too. The EPA connects counties together when they share roads, jobs, and just the general economy of the area. There are 3 ozone monitors for the Wichita CBSA, one on the Sedgwick and Sumner County line, one in the middle of Wichita at the Health Department, and one north of Wichita near Harvey County. If one of those monitors shows a high ozone level, that means the entire 4-county CBSA is out of attainment or over the limits for ozone. So ozone is a 4-county challenge that we all get to solve together. The EPA has set the limit for ozone at 75 parts per billion. That means 75 drops of water in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So it's a very tiny amount in our air of ozone can actually cause health problems. So it shows you how harmful ozone can be. So that's why we really want to make sure that we're keeping the ozone levels as low as possible. So if we go over the 75 part per billion limit, the EPA can come to us and have us go on what's called a state implementation plan, and that's some increased rules and regulations for the whole 4-county core-based statistical area. That was Sedgwick, Sumner, Harvey, and Butler counties. Everyone would have the same rules and we're all treated the same. So we want to make sure that we're keeping our ozone limits below that 75. Now in this graph you can see that the 3-year average, and they take the 3-year average of the 4th highest monitor reading to determine your design value number. So if that 3-year average is over 75 parts per billion, that's when you start getting in trouble. And that red line there is what we want to stay below. But you can see our 2010 through 2012 and 2011 through 2013 3-year averages are over that 75 part per billion line. So technically we've gone over our limits. However, the EPA is looking at the standard and trying to determine if that 75 limit is adequate to keep people healthy. So right now they're reassessing the standard and trying to decide if that standard is good enough. So while they're doing this decision-making process, they're not deciding whether people are in attainment or out of attainment yet. So we're on pause for now. So 2011 and 2012 are really hot and dry years. And you remember that hot, sunny days increase the formation of ozone from those ingredients of NOx and VOCs. So those hot, dry years really upped our 3-year average and bumped it over the 75. 2013 summer was gorgeous. It was cloudy and cool most of July, so we kept our numbers for 2013 low. So what we want to do is have another good year, knock out one of those drought years, and then hopefully our next 3-year average will be back down under that 75 line, and we can be back within the limits that EPA sets. Communities who go out of attainment or who are in non-attainment have some increased costs. New businesses oftentimes don't want to move into communities that are out of attainment because it will cost them more to meet the air quality requirements that are placed on communities that are non-attainment. Also, businesses that are already here may decrease their profit margins, may want to leave the area if we're a non-attainment area. And then road funding projects can also be affected. To you and I in our everyday lives, we're going to probably see, if we go out of attainment, we'll probably see increased fuel costs by 6 to 8 cents during those summer months. Our energy costs most likely will go up because our energy companies will be required to add increased air controls on their equipment, so their cost goes up, our cost goes up. Healthcare costs could increase just because of the decreased air quality. South Central Kansas is known for being a great place to live at a low cost, and going out of attainment may raise the cost of living here. This is a really simplified graph of air quality classifications. The blue bar at the bottom shows, what a community in attainment looks like. They meet the air quality standards. The Wichita area is currently in attainment, and so this is where we want to stay. We want to stay in the blue box. But if we do go over in the EPA over that limit and the EPA comes in and designates us non-attainment, we'd be in that red box, and that means we don't meet our federal standards for air quality, and ozone is the pollutant that we would be talking about. It would add additional federal regulations. There would be a state implementation plan created with the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, and all of the road projects would have to fit a transportation conformity analysis. We're over our limits now, but we're hoping to get back under and stay under that 75 line. We could be designated, if they do decide to acknowledge that we did go over, but we are back under, they could designate us as maintenance, and that means we meet the standard again. We were out, but we meet it again, and it usually lasts for about 10 years. There are potentially fewer restrictions and fewer requirements if you're in a maintenance phase. The Kansas City area was out of attainment, but they've brought themselves through really good planning and some hard work with the community of the Kansas City metropolitan area. They're in a maintenance phase because they're back within the standard. So what we're asking folks to do this year during ozone season, which runs from April 1st through October 31st, is to start paying attention to ozone alerts. During ozone season, we're going to have 2 types of days. A green ozone day is a day when the day looks like it will be a good ozone day. It could be cool, cloudy, or there's just not that potential for ozone to be formed. And most people will be fine doing their outdoor activities. Even the sensitive groups won't be impacted by ozone. A red ozone day is when the weather and the conditions are just right for that formation of ozone, and it looks like the ozone level could exceed the standard. And that standard is set to keep those sensitive groups healthy. So if it looks like it's going to be unhealthy for sensitive groups, we're going to call an ozone alert day. And that's when we're going to ask folks to change their behaviors and do a few things in order to keep our levels low and actually keep it under that 75 parts per billion. This is the city of Wichita's process on what's going to happen every day during ozone season. So the air quality department is going to look at tomorrow. We're going to look at the weather. We're going to look at what types of air pollutants might be blowing in from other areas, and we're going to see if it looks like it's going to be a green day or a red day. If it's going to be a green day, great, we all go about our daily business. If it looks like it's going to be a red day, we're going to call that an ozone alert day, and we're going to forecast that ozone alert day for the next day or tomorrow. So the ozone alert email will go out to all city departments. The city departments are going to change their operations to keep the ozone levels low, so that they're not doing things that put VOCs and NOx into the air to create ozone. We're also going to send out a press release to make sure that the entire community knows that it's an ozone alert day. Those highway signs that you see when you drive on the major highways are going to alert you to let you know that tomorrow's going to be an ozone alert day. And that way you can plan your tomorrow's activities so that what you're doing won't add to the ozone forming emissions as well. And then at the end of this presentation, if you'd like to sign up for ozone alert emails, so an email to be sent to you when an ozone alert day is called, you can sign up by going to a website and just putting in your name and your email, and you'll get those emails anytime there's going to be an ozone alert day. This is a list of the actions that the City of Wichita government is going to take on ozone alert days. Prior to ozone season, every staff member will receive an email reminding them that we have a no idling policy. That means after 5 minutes, all vehicles or equipment must be shut off and no longer idled, unless they're emergency vehicles, of course. Trip chaining is important, and reducing the miles traveled just for fuel economy, but also to reduce emissions that could cause ozone. The city crews are going to postpone mowing and using small engines during ozone alert days so that those emissions that are caused by mowing or weed eating will not be put into the air to create ozone. City of Wichita staff will suspend all non-essential driving on an ozone alert day. Emergency crews and community responses will always be met on any day. However, on an ozone alert day, anything that's non-essential, any driving that's not essential will be postponed until a later day. City crews are going to fuel before 10 or after 6 in order to, when you fuel your vehicle, the VOCs and the NOx vapors escape into the air, and so those can turn into ozone. So if you fuel when it's cool, those won't be heated by the sun and turn into ozone. The city crews will also suspend the use of oil-based paints and solvents in order to keep those volatile organic compounds from turning into ozone in the heat. A few other ozone alert day actions that the city government will take. Ozone alert days will be no burn days, just like a high wind day would be, to keep those emissions from turning into ozone. Some schedules may be adjusted in order to fit the postponed work that will be done. We're going to make sure that everybody knows about the ozone alerts by posting information about the ozone alerts at access points to city buildings. So the City of Wichita would like to invite all the communities within the Wichita core-based statistical area to participate with us in ozone season efforts. We can all do things during the hot, sunny parts of the summer in order to reduce ozone, because remember, we're trying to stay below 75 parts per billion, and the lower we can keep our highest number, the better. So things we can do every day of ozone season: fuel when it's cool. Fueling in the evening is best, but if you need to fuel in the morning, do that before 10 o'clock, before the sun gets up too high and really warm. Stop at the click. When you're fueling up your vehicle, once it clicks, that means it's done, and you can take the nozzle out and put it away. Don't try topping off the tank. That's actually bad for your car's vapor recovery system. It can flood that, and it lets VOCs escape, and those can turn into ozone. Remember, your car gets 0 miles to the gallon when you're idling, so anytime you're waiting for someone or at a train, if you're going to idle longer than 30 seconds, turn the key and be idle free. Reduce miles driven, so chain your trips together. Don't go home and come back and then run another errand and go home and come back. But try to link all your trips together. That saves you money on fuel, and it reduces emissions. And anytime you can carpool or ride your bike or walk, and especially you can start riding the bus, that's encouraged. We ask that you mow when it's cool. In the evening, it's more fun for you to mow when it's not 100 degrees outside. Plus, it saves those emissions from turning into ozone in the heat and sunlight. And just anything you can do to conserve electricity. Some actions that the community can do on those ozone alert days. So on those days when it looks like the ozone levels could be high, we want to do everything we can to keep those under the 75 mark. So if you know that tomorrow's going to be an ozone alert day and you need gas, fill up the day before the ozone alert, so you're not doing it on the ozone alert day, or try to make it through the day without needing to fuel up and save it for the next day. Postpone your errands or get your errands done when it's cool in the morning or later in the evening. Carpool or ride the bus on ozone alert days. avoid lawn work. And, I like excuses not to mow the lawn, so avoid that lawn work on ozone alert days. And then if you need to paint or use solvents, you can do those when it's cool, or just postpone those to a different day. This is your link to signing up for ozone alerts. There's an example at the side of your screen of what an ozone alert looks like. You would get those the day before an ozone alert day occurs, and so then you would know that the ozone alert day is coming up, and you can adjust your schedule or what you were planning on doing for that day to avoid putting out emissions that cause ozone. If we all just do a couple of these ozone-friendly actions, they'll add up to big results. Don't let clear skies fool you. We all need to be air aware. Thank you for joining me and doing your part to keep our community healthy.